Good afternoon. Board of Supervisors for July 22nd is back in session, and we have two timed items, both public hearings scheduled for 1:30. We'll take up the first item, 6D, is continued public hearing, discussion possible action regarding approval of proposed fee modifications for the 08 master fee schedule for departments referenced as Exhibit A. And so this is a continued public hearing. I'll open it up and go to staff first, and the staff will present the documentation, and then I'll open it up for public input, public comment. Please, if you're out in the audience, please fill out one of the pink salmon colored speaker forms, and once we conclude with public comment, I'll bring it back to the staff for final comments and to the board for questions of both the staff and the public. Close the public hearing and then remand the matter before the Board of Supervisors for discussion and or action. So I'll turn it over to the CEO's office, Jennifer Wyatt, and start the presentation on the master fee schedule. Continue the discussion on the master fee schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon. Jennifer Wyatt, Deputy CEO. I would like to, at this time, defer the discussion over to Mr. Mitchell. He had some open remarks, and then it can come back to me.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You fooled me a little bit because I thought we were doing fire first. So I
thought we were going to do that too, and some people asked for a change.
Okay, so, okay. Regarding fees, we had a lengthy discussion the last time we talked about fees. There was some confusion in the fee schedule presentation that was relating to some of the supporting document, and we apologize for that confusion several months ago. Hopefully Johnny won't invoke any rules today so we can finish this discussion all the way through. We really have two parts of the fees. Most of the fees I think we went through were fairly non-controversial with the board. But one of the areas that we did express some additional concern, both by the board and our office, had to do with the solid waste fees. Since we met the last time, we've scheduled a meeting to discuss the opportunities for some public-private partnerships with our other groups that are out there. Our kickoff meeting is tomorrow, and we'll have representatives from Solid Waste of Willits, Waste Management, and Mike McSweeney from MSWA will be there, and we'll be exploring opportunities we can to reduce some of our costs. Just for an example of the volume of work we've been going through, this document here is a collection of all the materials that the Department of Transportation has generated over the last several weeks relating to the costs of running our solid waste facilities. As the board will probably remember in the proposed budget message from the Executive Office, one of the areas of concern that we highlighted was the continued high subsidy by the general fund to support solid waste activities in the county. And one of the goals our office has set is we would like to reduce that general fund subsidy down as much as practical. So as we've gone through over the last several weeks and analyzed all of this different information that's out here, we've asked the auditor's office to take another look at some of your original fee recommendations that we'd given you based on what we're seeing for the escalating costs relating to fuel and this continued debate over the cost of providing the service. Our office is now going to be recommending that effective August 1st, instead of, I believe it was, I think it was the $21 that we were talking about, we're recommending a rate of $23, and we're recommending a rate of $25 effective January 1st, 2009. We think that'll do a number of things for us that will help reduce down our general fund subsidy to solid waste, and it will also help us with some of our increased fuel costs. The auditor has looked at that information, and based upon the premise that there is still a general fund subsidy, I believe they are recommending and supporting those fee increases to your board. I don't want to take away from the fact that we will be actively pursuing this public-private partnership idea too. So we think we can ultimately save some money for the residents of the county by how we go about tackling this problem. But in the meantime, our office is recommending a higher rate of fees than what's on your sheets before you, and for those very specific reasons, and they are countywide fees that we're proposing rather than individual fees. So if the board has any comments relating to that recommendation, I'll be happy to answer those questions. Otherwise, Jennifer is here to answer the technical questions as part of the discussion we're having today. Depending upon which direction your board is willing to support, today's resolution does not include the new fee proposals that I'm talking to you about right now. So if your board chooses to support this action, then we'll have to make some minor modifications to the fee resolution. So available for questions.
Okay, to the board members. I can't see if your pen is up, Kendall, or not. Okay. Discussion to Mr. Mitchell's proposal and or the continuing discussion on the fee modifications. Okay, seeing no concerns from the board, I'll go to the public then for public comment, and any members of the public wishing to speak to the fee modification of the master fee schedule, please step forward, state your name for the record, and keep your comments 3 minutes, 3 minutes if possible. And continuing this morning's theme, I see no one stepping forward, and so excuse me, I'll close the public comment and bring the item back to the board for discussion, questions of staff. Supervisor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question probably for Jennifer with respect to a technicality. I recall, and I might not be correct about this, but it seems that at the last discussion that we had on this, which I believe was June 24th, it seemed that the planning and building fees, there was a discussion that those would have gone into effect in, I think, August. But the document here is not reflective of that. It's talking about January. Now, I understand what the CEO is talking about is a change with respect only to solid waste fees and his recommendation. So what about, where are we with the planning and building fees, and has there been a change?
At the last board meeting, we did have on our resolution and on the action to be effective, I think it was 60 days after the date of adoption, which would have been in August. And the resolution stated that as well. In fact, the paperwork that was presented by Planning and Building was showing that the fees were not, just like solid waste, were not going to be effective until January 1st, 2009. So the paperwork today has changed Planning and Building to reflect January 1st, 2009.
Okay. Good. That clarifies. Thank you.
Okay. Further discussion, concerns, questions from the board for staff? Okay. Seeing no concerns, I will close the public hearing and bring this back to the board for questions or action.